Welcome to my session for today, which is called PDF in Portals. And my name is Fernandes. I am the product manager of a product called JEDIS Web Toolkit at the levigo Solutions. And I would like to talk a little bit about the portals in common and what are portals, what we can achieve with PDF inside portals. A little bit of a background of the company that I'm working for. We are 55 persons, and I'm proud to say that we have a nerd factor of 85%. So if you've ever seen Big Bang Theory, we have characters that match up with the whole all the characters that are in the Big Bang Theory. And we're located in Holzgerlingen in the southwestern of Germany. We're split up in multiple divisions within levigo, and the division that I am working in is called the levigo Solutions GmbH. And we're doing software for ECM, DMS systems, basically everything in Java. And this is something very important for us, made in Germany and engineered in Germany. So every line of code that has been written in our products is actually written in at our location in Holzgerlingen. Our customers are mainly customers ranging in the area of banking, insurances, with a lot of places, or workplaces. And we've become pretty much successful with a product called the JEDIS Viewer, a pure Java viewer for different file formats. Among others, PDF is also supported too. So this is a little excerpt down on the slide of our customers. So before I start right off, I love having interactive sessions. So if you have any kind of questions, please let me know. The only thing that's important, please go up to one of the microphones that are standing in the room so that we can record the questions. If not, the recording will not contain the questions which would be said. But anyway, please go ahead and ask me right away. Portals. What are portals? From my personal perspective, I think this is a word which has a lot of definitions. A portal, basically, for me, comes down to something where users are sitting in front, and it's basically some kind of internet page written in things like HTML5 and CSS3, possibly in addition JavaScript. So there's a huge switch, even in the larger companies, focusing more on having a central deployment of their logic and letting the caseworkers work over some kind of portal and do all the interaction also with their customers using portals. And today I would like to introduce you to a product of us, which is called the JEDIS Web Toolkit. It is based on our core product, the JEDIS Viewer, which has a strong rendering library and processing library for a number of different file formats. Among PDF, other formats like AFP, Modcom, and TIFF, for example. As I said, all that code is written in Holzgerlingen at our main location. So, when it comes to a portal, if you think about portals that are headed for the caseworkers inside the company, maybe persons working for the company but outside of some kind of company, or the end user, the end customer that you're trying to get in touch with. There are a lot of things that are a huge challenge, especially if it comes to having document formats like PDF or even other formats like AFP, Modcom, etc. But already with PDF it starts. We have to support a huge number of devices. The days are gone where everyone simply had some kind of desktop computer, and the only thing that we've been questioning ourselves is, did he have the 800 by 600 resolution, or did he already have 1000 by 1024 by 700 and something, 68 I think. We have many different resolutions, many different kinds of how those devices work, and now it's becoming even more complicated to serve everyone. Especially if it comes to having documents in your portal, you cannot actually count on what is actually installed on those devices. You never know who is going to watch your documents that you're going to publish with anything. We've had a pretty much beautiful example that morning. For example, Apple Preview is not supporting every feature inside a PDF document. And if you open a rather complex PDF file in Preview, it can be that it's displayed completely different or missing some kind of features. So how can you distribute your documents or let customers watch your documents without knowing which features their viewers actually have? You have no real knowledge about what is the target viewer. So this is a challenging task, I personally think. Today I would like to show you or split this presentation up into two major parts. The first part is about user experience. And the second one is about collaboration, because I personally think, and we and our company think, that everything's going to change hugely, becoming more centric about the person that's working on some kind of portal. And up until now, it has always been that software, even in the major companies, has been developed in a way that everyone knew we will have to do some education for the person actually using it. And that's going much less. It's all about user experience and collaboration, working together. User experience in particular is pretty much interesting. We have seen a lot of different techniques and possibilities that PDF actually has. But the most users, it's pretty much, for most users, it's pretty much overwhelming if they are faced with a full Adobe Acrobat and don't have a clue on how to interact with those documents, don't have a clue which enriched metadata is included in those documents. They need a subtle guidance on how to work with those documents. So having a good user experience is pretty much about focusing on what's important. My personal favorite in the last 2 years, I think, has always been what PDF A3 is offering us. I have had that slide yesterday. So if you think you have a document, a rich document, it's basically a converted email, all into a flat PDF, and you want to express that the first page has a source of an EML file, the second is a forwarded EML file that has been attached, and the fourth page is basically a doc file. So you have a real rich set of meta information about that particular document that's pretty hard for a user to find out whether there is an attachment in a document and related to something. There are no common navigation concepts up until now on how this is going to be presented to a user. Another example of the German Zugpferd initiative is a beautiful thing, but if a user opens that file and sees, well, there's only a plain XML attached to it, that doesn't give him much of an idea what that XML is going to mean. So we've been thinking a little bit about how that could be done, how the user can be guided to work with those kinds of documents. And we've brought up a little demo using our project on how this can be displayed. As I said, it's only an idea and only a demo. So it can be customized in many ways. So I have it running locally. And here it already is. On the left side, we have our JS Web Toolkit, which is able to display the documents in an HTML5 environment. There's no plugins needed at all. It's pure HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS, of course. And giving the users the possibility to see, hey, that's a Zugford document, and I actually can extract that information that's inside that document, taken from the XML, other than by downloading that document, can be very, very helpful, especially if you have documents where the Unicode metadata or the Unicode data inside the document is not maintained. So this is a little bit sad. The demo document, if you copy and paste of the official Zugford demo document, the text that's within, there's no Unicode information behind. But you can extract all that information out of the XML metadata that is included inside the document. Another example, what I would like to show is, if it comes to, let's say, my example before, the converted email. So let's have a look. We have 4 pages here. It's basically the document that I had made the screenshots from. And if you want to access all those content that has been used to generate the PDF, A3 in this case, I can navigate here to have something like an overview to see, oh well, I have this page that is actually associated with the following EML attachment. And we are explicitly expressing the source of that document. It is, or the relation of that document, it's the source. Giving the people a chance to see, oh well, hey, that's actually what that page originated from. This is true for all those pages in that document. So I can get a quick overview, get a feeling when navigating around inside this document, what's the relation and what's the meaning of everything. We can continue that and even do some things like adding additional features and making the user more, giving the user more power. For example, doing elements like hovering over the document and having a lens, so that they have the real feeling of what of a real native viewer without having any kind of installation. And the cool thing is, if you're deploying such a thing on your service, you always know how that UI and how that document is going to be presented to the user. There's no way that you are faced with other kinds of viewers that support some things not. And this is one idea on how that can actually be done. Yeah, could you please go up to the microphone and just press the button? So.
Yeah, a simple question. I just wanted to know if you could add other fields that are not related to the content, like indexing fields or so on. Because you showed displaying.
Yeah, good question. This is why I love doing that interactively. This is really just a demo of what can be done. We wanted to demonstrate that there are other ways to access those data in those documents. And there's no reason against using and displaying on that way other kind of metadata. Any kind of metadata, whether it's being in an attachment of a PDF document, or whether it's the XMP metadata actually embedded inside the document, there are numerous things that you can display and make a richer user experience. And this is what I just wanted to say. There's a lot of stuff that you can have in a PDF document. PDF is so a rich document format. And if you're concentrating on what's important for the user at the moment when he's facing that document, you can achieve a fantastic user experience for the guy sitting in front of it. So this is one simple example of how I think it would be possible to make the user experience better. Another way, or another thing that is of very high importance, I think, I personally think, for the future, is the subject of collaboration. I've seen I've read a pretty interesting article written by Gardner, which it gives a little bit of an outside of what will be the future workplace and how will people actually work together. And one interesting thing is that they see a trend, and I can second that the non-routine work is going to increase. So in most of the cases, in most insurances that we are faced, every case has some kind of model and some kind of business transaction behind. But things start to get a little more complicated. Customers just want to be served more quickly, and they have corner cases, etc. Now, how can you solve that? The only way to solve such things is by letting people actually work together. And there's documents are actually in a lot of companies a substantial part of their workflow. So to give you an idea of another portal that we have designed for a customer that I cannot name at the moment, I'd love to show you that for a second. So there has been the name of the company in the title. We did have to remove that. It's basically the idea to replace the existing client applications that they have in their company, which are fatline based, pretty much decentralized and run a little bit out of control sometimes, to have those centralized with a centralized deployment and under centralized control. And for sure, they would like to switch to other kinds of clients because of physical clients, because they had really fat machines standing everywhere in the building, and there's the wish to switch to thin clients. So, in our example, we have a caseworker. No, I don't want to store the login data. And this could be an example of a dashboard. I have some kind of an inbox. So if I have to work on documents, I typically get those documents like an email. And I think it is possible to handle those documents like an email. So I have 3 example documents within that mailbox at the moment. I can go look through those documents and even do some unexpected things, like going to select those text, copying it out, and if I want to, even do live annotations. But what's nice, we can even integrate things like working on those documents in a fully controlled way. So if you have to do a split and merge workflow within your company, it's pretty difficult to get control over the viewers, especially if it comes to mobile devices. Here we can say, okay, split that document before the currently selected page, put that aside, and we have a full server transaction going to the server telling this is the intention that the user wants to do, and it can be security controlled and actually stored to the archive in a way that you want it to be. Actually, this is a side showcase. So if now I have that document, and let's pretend this is a document that I have. It is a contract with a customer which needs some explanation of what that contract actually means. So let's go ahead and say, okay, we share that document. I get an ID, copy that, and now I have to switch back to the screen. This room. So when you have the possibility that if the customer is, you can say the customer, go ahead, go to our online portal, and I will guide you. So here I can enter the ID of a shared document. And now the customer could see without any kind of login and only one single time, have access to exactly that document. I have on the other side the sessions, the actual sessions that are viewing those documents. And if I'm on the phone or currently chatting with someone, it would be nice to highlight specific sections. For example, by actually annotating it. And this is a nice thing. So if you imagine you're sitting in front of your device and the customer is sitting on their sofa with a mobile device in their hand, it's actually possible that they can follow you and your guidance within those documents. The same is true if you're working, for example, on a difficult insurance case over using the modern collaboration tools like having some kind of chat, integrating that into a wiki, or things like that, or social groups, private in the company, but in any way you can go ahead and link content, content with specific areas on a document to highlight those documents if you have any kind of discussion. And I pretty much think that it will go into this direction, that the work and all the world is going to be changing to have people work easier and easier together. Good. I've been much faster than I thought I would be. So if you have any kind of questions, I would be more than happy to answer them. If not, I would just continue showing you some other parts of the JEDIS Web Toolkit and how it works. Yeah, so if you have any questions up to now to subject calibration. Not at all. Okay. Good. Let's quickly switch back to what we have. If you would like to play around with all those tools, just get in touch with me. We have hosted online versions. They are free to use. You can go ahead and play around with as much as you like. One thing that our customers are always loving and which is very important for them is actually doing annotations. Working with annotations is one of the most crucial things to have success for our customers. And we have some very simple things like applying stamps. Applying stamps like saying, okay, this document is done. We've heard that in the keynote yesterday. Having the same process that you did already with your paper, you can reproduce that in our product and in the web. And this is a pretty beautiful thing. And this is true for a lot of other components, like having notes. If I want to annotate this and say, let's say, this looks good. Having it change live inside a viewer, and with actually the possibility to store that right away in an archive specific way, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. And the underlying document, and this is something very important, is never modified at all. Good. So let's switch back to my keynote presentation. Actually, I'm already through. You have a question? Please go ahead to my microphone.
So, you said this is developed in Java, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So all of it requires only users and the Java plugin installed into the browser.
No, it doesn't. We actually use, for the integration, we're using Java. But the Java is getting compiled to JavaScript. So that you have a high-level language to write your application, to integrate all stuff, and then to deploy it purely in HTML and in JavaScript. There's no Java on the client side. I can prove that if I go to, let's say, it's the wrong example. Let's open that. And you see, this is actually an HTML5 component. And we do all those interactions on the client side purely with JavaScript and HTML. There's no plugin at all. That means that works on an iPad. I'd love to show you working that on an iPad, but as you all might know, the wireless LAN is fantastically here, and it would work not at all.
Yeah, because on many iOS devices it's very difficult to get Java applications that is working correctly, but if it's only JavaScript and HTML5, then it's not compatible.
We have a long history of providing Java applets, and we actually know exactly the pain of what it means if you deploy such a thing. And it gets even worse. I personally think the time for Java on the client side is gone. It is a wonderful language, a wonderful platform for providing server-based applications. So our server side is also based on Java. And this will be a success for the next years, which remains untouched. But on the client side, I think Java doesn't have that big chance for the future. Okay.
Okay, I will ask about the source PDF file that's rendered. It's actually purely HTML5 as well, the structure, or is it an image with a layer?
Okay. It is a combination of both. We try to do as much as we can in the client, but there are still some open areas. For example, when it comes to transparency, most browsers still lack a lot of features. So we made a combination. All the annotations, for example, are rendered and handled on the client side. This is the canvas element. And if we can, we transfer as much of the original source data of the document to the client. But in most cases, in most PDFs at the moment, it will be simply a tile being rendered over the wire or sent over the wire. But one thing that we actually can assemble in the client, we have a pretty much flexible document model. If you assemble pages in a stacked way, so if you have a background letterhead, for example, and the actual content of a letter in another document, you can put those together and layer it up even on the client, so it's a little bit separated. Okay.
I had a question regarding the integration with PMS systems, etc. Do you have a standard way to integrate to some of a Fresco or SharePoint?
Okay. We've decided for ourselves that having a tight coupling with any kind of DMS is not the best idea that we could do. We support the DMS to the extent that for us makes sense. That means if the DMS has a specific annotation file format or some specific kind of characteristics, Image Plus is such an example. Yeah, in an Image Plus way, there's not the client application talking to some kind of server requesting those documents. That request is sent by a different way, and that host, in this case, is actually sending it back. So we have a receiver for Image Plus. We have support for annotation file formats like the content manager annotation formats, the finite annotation formats as an example. But storing and retrieving is something that we don't want to have under control. So we support people doing that, but if they want to go through their middleware to achieve that, to store and load the annotations, they can do that. If they just want to go directly to the archive, store and retrieve, we can support them too. So we have no tight coupling. So any more questions? Then thank you very much. I'm done a little bit ahead of time, which is nice because we have to switch devices here. Next up will be, I think, Damiano in about 10 minutes. Thank you very much.